What's good? I was wrong. I did not need a call. So I don't usually have interruptions in my live. So I'm not in the rhythm of I can pause the live or whatever and then come right back to it. So I'm doing a new live stream. And these lives are, appreciate you joining. Hopefully they're good enough for me to do things to cut up and re-upload. So that's basically the big thing about these lives is I just do these topics live, then I can cut them up. I can use, cut out the ums and stuff like that, and then put maybe some clips in there and stuff and re-upload them. So I apologize. I did not need to cut the live off, but I am going to go into this section 230 thing here. I just cut the live off when I was talking about Trump, but section 230. I got into a good discussion, I think, with Hannah Cox, and she's a libertarian type. Sorry for cutting the stream off. Thanks for rejoining. That was an amateur move. But I think the audio is good. Let me just double check again. If the audio is not great, but I'm trying to make sure the audio is good enough. Let's just say. Let's see. Let's listen. Okay. 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 I got it. I got the audio. So I had this discussion with Hannah Cox a while back, and I don't think I really broke this down. If I did, I'm going to do it again. I don't remember breaking this down. Hannah Cox said SCOTUS is hearing the first serious challenge to Section 230 today, and given the makeup of the court, there's cause for concern. And I'm going to disagree with her respectfully. If this goes down the wrong way, it will rewrite the internet as we know it, and I don't agree with her. I don't agree with her take at all on it. I asked her a question. I said, can you explain to me what the need is for Section 230 when we have the First Amendment? She replied with this video. I had already seen this video, but I haven't played it on the channel.
Should you be responsible?
Let's watch this video. She does a good job. The video's good. I just disagree with the content.
For what you say. That should be an easy question for any adult to answer, but increasingly in the US, it is not. We have better free speech protections in this country than virtually anybody else in the rest of the world. But just because you're free to say what you want without the government coming after you, it doesn't mean that you're free from the repercussions of what you say. Nor does it mean that people have to listen to you or promote what you think. These used to be basic concepts in our country, but Democrats and Republicans are both currently working to push past them for their own ulterior motivations.
Your message to platforms like Facebook. They're killing people.
And caught in the middle of it all is a little law known as Section 230.
Legislation that spells out who is legally responsible for content on the internet was signed into law 27 years ago, the last century. In 1996, only a fifth of Americans had ever booted up the World Wide Web.
Section 230 is one of the most misrepresented pieces of legislation in this country, which is weird because 1, it's very short, 2, it's very simple, and 3, you could literally just Google it and read it for yourself. But since it seems the vast majority of Americans have not taken time to do this, I'm going to break it down for you here. Section 230 was a piece of bipartisan legislation that was passed in the 1990s as the internet was first coming about. Essentially, politicians knew this was a new frontier for commerce, and they wanted to make sure that it had the ability to grow and flourish. To do that, they needed a legal framework that ensured business owners it was safe to operate online. In case you're unaware, America has a very litigious society. That means that we sue each other a lot. We also have a court system that is really poorly structured to ensure that you aren't wrongfully sued. In many places, if you sue somebody and you lose, you have to pay their legal cost. If you bring a bogus claim and there's no standing to it, you're left with the bill. But in the US, people can sue you even for bogus reasons, and you have to pick up the cost of defending yourself. It's way too easy to sue people and way too expensive to defend yourself, and because of that, people are often cautious about going into business. So in trying to establish this new framework for the internet, they decided to pass Section 230, which basically told business owners what the First Amendment already said. You are responsible for things you write and say online. You're not responsible for things other people write or say online. It's as common sense as they get. And while the First Amendment already pretty much says that, Section 230 just guarantees that if somebody tries to sue a business operating online for bogus reasons, Section 230 will reestablish this and say they can't be sued for things other people have said on their platforms, thus saving the courts a lot of bogus lawsuits and ensuring that small businesses aren't hit with litigation that they can't afford to sustain early on. To summarize, most of these kinds of lawsuits would get thrown out anyways because of the First Amendment, but Section 230 ensures that we don't have to deal with them in the first place. And it turned out Section 230 was a really great law. We've seen the proof in the pudding for the past 25 years. The internet has exploded. We have tons of innovations that have come about online. People are free to exchange ideas, and companies are able to operate with the security of knowing that they aren't responsible for things people might write in their comment sections or on their platforms. So why is this all of a sudden controversial? Great question. A few years ago, President Trump, who was no friend of free speech, decided that Section 230 was the root cause of his woes. Platforms like Twitter frequently censored President Trump and ultimately even banned him, and he thought that that shouldn't be allowed. Side note, it absolutely should be allowed. No private business should have to host any speech they disagree with or don't want to promote, much less that of a politician. If the government or a politician can force you to host their speech, do you actually have free speech? Do you actually have freedom at all? I say no. But other Republicans joined President Trump in this assault on Section 230 and basically said that they thought because social media companies were often using algorithms that disfavored conservative viewpoints, that the government should be able to come in and tell these companies how to moderate their content. This is as anti-free speech as it gets. It's a blatant attack on the actual First Amendment that says the government can't tell you what to say, and it also can't tell you what not to say. If politicians are going to come in and tell business leaders what kind of speech they can have on their platforms, what kind of speech they have to promote, there is no more First Amendment. To make matters worse, Republicans were joined in this crusade by a number of Democrats, but for very different reasons. Democrats, on the other hand, think that social media companies don't censor enough. They want companies to have to shut down people who push back on their official narratives about things such as COVID-19, climate change, racial justice, and other subjects that violate whatever their official narrative is at the given moment. Democrats don't care about free speech anymore. They have made that abundantly clear over the past couple of years with things like disinformation boards, the Twitter files, and even campaigns by some politicians to get journalists kicked offline. Their end goal is to suppress the flow of information. They want it to be like the old days when there was just a couple media companies that controlled the flow of information, controlled the official narrative, and any independent voices that break with that, they want.
Okay, I'll stop there. I think that's the gist of it from her. It's 11 minutes. I'm not going to play the whole thing. But it very well laid out. We were talking about Section 230. I'm going to get through this quickly and then get to Richard's point here. Richard said, what do you think about the Freedom Caucus saying if they try to charge Trump, they will make legislation to not allow any former president to be charged for anything? The legislation would not pass, but I do know what you're talking about in the letter. I did not know how to interpret that. But it's a good topic. I'll do it live. I've read the letter. But let's talk about that after this Section 230. I'm going to get through this quickly because we've kind of touched on this a little bit already. But just to go through it, so I told her I had seen the video, and I think her arguments are very weak. She believes that companies who do direct business with the government should be able to censor speech on behalf of the government. She said that when she talked about Trump. So these companies do direct business with the government, and then they censor specifically Donald Trump. They haven't censored Joe Biden. That is a conflict of interest. That's fascism. When you got private business linking up with the government to do power moves. You acknowledge, I'm talking to Ms. Cox here, Hannah Cox, and it's Hannah Cox and Brad Plumbo, I believe his name is. They do great work. We just disagree here. You acknowledge that Section 230 is redundant. She acknowledges multiple times that Section 230 is redundant with the First Amendment. It's unnecessary. You don't acknowledge that if a private business chooses to promote or censor content, that they should no longer get protection. Otherwise, they have the best of both worlds. Why would Amazon? If they give an algorithm to a person to help them unlive themselves, so they say, oh, this person is admitting we've tracked their data. Just hypothetically, let's not do Amazon. They do have a case like that, I believe, but forget about Amazon. Any digital, major big tech company, they know, hey, this person's looking up certain things that could lead to harming themselves. Let me put an ad here in there. I'm deciding to algorithmically give them an ad or give them content from other creators that will take them down the path of unliving themselves. As dark as that sounds, we have no idea if that's happening or not because we don't know about the algorithm. That has allegedly happened with TikTok and Amazon, but we don't know. Say they do that. They absolutely should not get protection under Section 230. Heather Cox is arguing that they should. That makes absolutely no sense. They chose to promote that content and give it to the person. if you give the algorithmic control to the person who wants to hurt themselves or unlive themselves, and as unfortunate that is, and they decide to algorithmically get that type of content, that's not their fault. But it even goes further than that. If you decide to demonetize the Lotus Eater podcast that we talked about earlier in the other live, now that I separated them, in the other live we talked about them demonetizing the Lotus Eaters podcast. If you choose to do that, you don't get any protection under anything on any topic. It doesn't matter if we're talking about diapers. You get no protection because you've chosen winners and losers, whether it's politics or not. You lose all Section 230 immunity. If you want that immunity, the user has 100% control over data and algorithm. I'm going to leave it at that. That's where I think she has a terrible argument. Her argument is to stop frivolous lawsuits. That's not the major concern here. So let's get to Hike Martman. Thanks for stopping by. Let's get back to Richard. Richard has an interesting point that I think I want to get to. Like I said, he's talked about the Freedom Caucus letter. Let's take a look at that Freedom Caucus letter. I have that saved. I had it bookmarked. I wasn't ready to talk about it because I didn't fully comprehend it. But shoot, let's just talk about it. Don't need to be fully ready for it. Let's just talk about it on the fly. This is the letter I believe he's talking about from Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan sent a warning. It should be a warning. It's definitely a federal concern if you're going to politically prosecute a guy who's the number one candidate for president and a former president, but also a number one candidate for the Republican Party in 2024. This is a federal concern. Of course it is. And so Congress is controlled by MAGA right now. So they have the double interest in Trump is the MAGA mascot. Middle MAGA miscreants, right? I can't even say it right. Steve Johnson said that in the other live. This is kind of a alliteration. But here's the letter. I'm not going to read the whole letter, but the part of the letter, because I saw this too, Richard. The part of the letter that I think you're talking about is before they do these points at the end here. And I'm going to go, where is it? Shoot. Hold on one second. Let me search on the word president and I'll be able to find it. It was later in the article in this letter. Here, let's see. So let's start here. This is actually let's start here and we'll get to it. So what's the federal concern? The federal concern here from the Freedom Caucus group is if you have political prosecutions of former presidents coming from the state that are politically motivated, how do you define that? I don't know. I'm not saying that I know how to define what's political or not. I still say DeSantis should be a safe haven, challenge it in the courts. To me, this feels political. I don't know how to define it in general, but this one right here, I know that this one is political. But I'm talking about Alvin Bragg. But for example, a president could choose to avoid taking action he believes to be in the national interest because it would negatively impact New York City for fear that he would be subject to a retaliatory prosecution in New York City. That alone, these libs are so, they're not only stupid, they also feel like they will always have the power and it will never be used against them. They might be right, but what the principle of this is, let me make this bigger. The principle of this is very solid. How do I get that? How do I get that table of contents out of there? Okay. So here's what we're looking at. Let me make this, see if I can make the text. Nope. Okay. So this is the context that they're saying is you are setting a precedent where a president could choose to avoid taking action because they know New York could get me. So let's say hypothetically DeSantis became president. Would he hesitate to take action against New York or Georgia? Georgia's really a blue state. Against one of these states that might dig something up to look at any type of frivolous lawsuit. Speaking of frivolous lawsuits, not lawsuit, but criminal action, Hannah Cox, that could happen. But later on, they also address what Richard was saying. Let me look it up here. Okay, there's few the circumstances of any prosecutorial decision to indict a former president on a novel and untested legal theory, I agree, is unacceptable. That's not the part. Okay, if enacted, insulate. Okay, this is the part Richard was talking about. Therefore, the Committee on the Judiciary, as a part of its broad authority to develop criminal justice legislation, must now consider whether to draft legislation that would, if enacted, insulate current and former presidents from such improper state and local prosecutions. That is getting to a dangerous point. I don't know what that means. That's what Richard's talking about. What does that insulate them? How? I don't know what that means. Does that mean if so? Allegedly, so if there's a current president or past president, and a state wants to do the same thing Alvin Bragg's doing, Fulton County, Georgia's doing, what would that mean? Would they have to go through Congress in some way? That's the judicial branch. So I would. Here's what I would be for. I would be for. Here's what they do. Here's what they do. If there's a dispute between states, it goes straight to the federal courts. And just like Texas v. Pennsylvania, I think the federal courts heard it. I think the federal courts were like, this is too big for us. This is going straight up to SCOTUS. I think, here's what I'm okay with, Richard, is if you are going to go after a current or past president, it's got to go straight to the federal courts. It can't go out of the judicial system, in my opinion. That's weird to give the legislative branch judicial. They don't have judicial power. I think so I think if Alvin Bragg wants to go after any former president, you might have to, I don't know, do you extend it to senators? I don't know. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. But let's make sure. Presidents for sure. Richard, just thinking through this live, let me know if you find holes in this argument. I think Alvin Bragg should have to go through the federal. Just like it was appeal. It's weird to say it would be like a preemptive appeal, but you would have to get. I think, man, if the Supreme Court's corrupted, then it is what it is. You got to think through that, because the Supreme Court's going to be all these social justice left warriors. They're going to be Supreme Court justices in a couple generations. So think about this process. If that's what happens, it is what it is. They're the justices. I think it has to somehow go through the federal courts to the Supreme Court. And if they say, nah, this looks like some BS, then you can't do it. That's my first thought. Because that's what it comes down to. You have New York going after Pappy Don. And what I'm saying is every red state should say we're safe havens. Trump, if you want to go turn yourself in, turn yourself in. But if you want to be safe haven, come here and we challenge it and it goes through the federal courts. That's the process it would go through anyway. So I think that's the answer. See any holes through that? Are people following it? Hopefully you can follow what the thought here. Great question. Can you go live on Rumble? I'm done watching anything on YouTube. I can. The Rumble is so annoying. Because that's really the big bad reason why I stopped the first stream. Now I stopped the Rumble. I have to reset Rumble up again. Thanks for letting me know that you follow on Rumble potentially. I won't be able to set it up because it's just too annoying. Setting it up takes some time. But I go live on Rumble every time. Thank you. Richard would say, okay, Richard has comments on this because he had the great comment here, great idea. Let me try to get the sunlight out of here real quick. Okay. Richard, what is Richard saying? Richard saying would make it impossible to investigate any president because they can't be charged after. I'm not for that. I don't think that makes sense. Richard says if a crime was ever found, it would prove some people were above the law. Yeah, I'm not for them being above the law. But I think there has to be some type of extra protection because like the Freedom Caucus said, where are we going with this? A red state, if there were any red states, there are no real red states, but if there was a real red state, they could say, we're going to prosecute Brandon for some charge when he was in the state, or, they could find anything, which I think that you should. I mean, I hate going through, this is like an authoritarian route, but You sometimes, if you get punched, you have to punch back. I'm for peace, but I did a thing on the community page where I was like, if a Democrat jaywalks in a red state, I need to see a perp walk. I'm sorry. Sometimes if somebody punches you, you got to punch back. That's a defensive stance. That's not even offensive. Offensive would be doing something they haven't done to you, escalating. That's just a defensive move. Richard says, which would break our justice system. Yeah, I agree. More. As we know, a sitting president can't be charged. I didn't even realize that. Because they have to be impeached. I forgot that, Richard. I don't even know the answer to that, actually. Now that you say it, it makes sense. So that makes even more sense. You got somebody who's a sitting president can't be charged, so after they're president, then you go charge them immediately. I mean, we just need a national divorce, man. When you get down to this kind of stuff, it's just like you're in a bad marriage. You don't fundamentally agree enough with the people that you share the government with to have a government, is what it comes down to. Brandon could go to court like the rest of us and plead his case. Yeah. But great topic of discussion. I think it's excellent. I kind of like those philosophical type of discussions. Great topic of discussion. I'm going to take a hard left turn here to talk about a subject I did not. It's a subject that came up like 2-3 days ago, and I have not addressed it. And it's a sad topic, to be honest. But everything's not peaches and cream. And I don't know why I felt like doing this one. Because I'm going to talk about somebody who's trans that was kind of big at one point. 2020, they were in United Airline ads. So I just have a couple of basically slides on that one. Let me go get it real quick. This was a flight attendant, and I'm just going to share it directly from the website. So it's going to look weird, but just some slides, just to remember what I wanted to say. As I read this article, I just clipped some slides, and it was like, I do want to talk about it. I don't know why. I think because it was sad, and I really want to acknowledge this. Trans flight attendant unlived from unliving themselves after being featured in United Airlines ad. It's just a very sad story. On Monday, not today, this was a week ago, I believe. On Monday, transgender flight attendant Kaylee Scott was found unlived in her Colorado home just hours after posting to Instagram that she was planning to end her life. I am in Colorado, so maybe that kind of hit me a little bit as well. There's Kaylee Scott, just such a young person. Age 25, gained notoriety after being featured in a 2020 Transgender Day of Visibility ad campaign for United Airlines. That's the only reason I even know who this person was. This was in 2020. Stuff was getting more and more serious and heated real quickly. This ad came out. The culture war actually wasn't nearly as hot, especially with trans, even in 2020 at this point. Here is the ad. I will share the ad here. I do have it queued up from Kaylee Scott in 2020.
Don't let that smirk fool you. There was so much pain behind that sweet boy's eyes. I don't normally post about my transition here on my feed, let alone it's a rare sight on my stories. I used to be so embarrassed about being trans, and all I wanted was to blend in and be cis. But times have changed, and I've started looking back at the bigger picture and understanding I do have a story to tell. This story comes after a huge pep talk from one of my biggest motivators, love. This is a story that I know is so important for me to continue sharing. Not for me, but for those out there who are still fighting social norms, the boundaries set upon them fighting themselves. Gay, lesbian, bi, trans, pan, whatever and whoever you identify as, come out, be counted. My life changed for the better when I came to United as a flight attendant. With the support from the company, our business resource group for LGBTQ+ employees, and all of my loving coworkers, I was able to break free from the chains that held me. And to this day, I'm living confidently as my true self. I was able to glow up and let go of the past. So here's to all the pain that Kyle went through so that Kaylee could live today. I am trans, and I am proud.
And it was a good ad. And just, I think there's a misnomer out there that people think that when you talk about these trans issues, that there's some type of hate for trans people. I can't speak for anybody else, but that is certainly not the case for me. And maybe that all that kind of stuff is why. But, you know, she shared her story, and on Instagram, very haunting comments before she unlived herself. As I take my final breaths and exit this living earth, I would like to apologize to everyone I let down. I am so sorry I could not be better. To those that I love, I am sorry I could not be stronger. To those that gave me their everything, I am sorry my effort was not reciprocated. Please understand that me leaving is not a reflection of you, but the result of my own inability to turn myself for the better. Scott added, mentioning a number of friends and telling them, I was very respectful of, this is from the Post Millennial. In the actual post, she named people, and Post Millennial left those names out. I am so sorry. Please remember me for the good memories we have shared, and never for my downfall. I will see you all again on the other side. Shortly after the post was sent, Scott's sister commented confirming that she had in fact passed away. Kaylee Scott's mother wrote an emotional post, as you could understand, on Facebook saying, I am so unbelievably proud to have you as my daughter, proud and amazed by everything that you have done in your life. Your smile was absolutely beautiful. Your laughter was unbelievably contagious. Your heart was bigger than any of us could have understood. And I just want to reiterate that it's a sad story that when I talk about these type of issues, it is not with the intent of going negatively against anybody. Really, the intent is to find out where we are the same, where we are, how we can relate. And rest in peace. Very sad story, only 25 years old. My kids are small. They could become very easily, they're going to public schools, whether it's indoctrination or not, they could become trans or whatever the case may be. I'm going to love them all the same. It would be difficult, no questions. But I'm going to love them all the same and wish them the best. I'm not going to change my positions on anything. The concerns about these trans issues are more about the institutions. The institution propping up somebody trans as being something exciting, something better, something that gives you a voice. You can look at Dylan Mulvaney. I have no beef with Dylan Mulvaney. I do have a concern, though. If Dylan Mulvaney's been on TikTok for years and years and years, and let me take the conversation away from Kaylee Scott to be respectful for that passing, thoughts and prayers up to the family. But let me take it now to the concerns, because people misconstrue what the concerns are. And some people do this on purpose, but I think some people do this honestly. They don't understand. Honestly, they think there's some sort of hate. That's not the case. What I'm saying, for example, is you take Dylan Mulvaney, somebody who has been on TikTok for a long time, somebody who's always clearly wanted attention through TikTok and going viral, and did not get that attention. They did not get that boost in the algorithm until they came out as trans. So my concern is not about them coming out as trans. My concern is, does somebody have motivation for whatever reason that might be to promote someone being trans as something better than normal, if you want to call that normal, or better than just being a gay man, and better than being a cis or straight man, for whatever reason, as a fad or something courageous. You put it in the packages. It's courageous, so do it. And people who might not even be trans might want that glow up, that shine. Dylan Mulvaney came out as trans. I don't know what's in Dylan's head, but we do know got really favorable results in the algorithm. I don't know what that meant. Did people just like it? Is it hot right now? I don't know what that means. That's part of the problem. It's not going against the person. It's going against the institutions. We need full transparency. How is this stuff happening? Just like if you have children in the class, and the teacher gives preference to this person for whatever reason, then you're kind of giving an incentive for the other children. That's why we shouldn't have a state-sponsored religion. You're giving incentive for the other children to do whatever that is, to brown nose, put their nose in the ass of that teacher, and do whatever to get preference. For me, that sums up the more concern, and that goes back to the definition of woke. It's allowing somebody else to define your morality. So it's nothing against the Kaylee Scotts of the world. It's more on where are we going with this thing from a structure, institutional standpoint. So let me know what you think. I just felt, I don't know why, seeing that topic made me feel like addressing it, bringing it up. But there's many other hot topics. I'll jump in the chat real quick just to see what people are chatting about. But there's a lot of topics out there that I have queued up. What an amazing thread! I'm gonna go over this amazing thread. I'm gonna look at the comments here, see if anybody had any thoughts on that. Maybe don't care or whatever. But amazing thread I'm gonna do in a second from George Mack. His favorite question in 2023: what is ignored by the media but will be studied by historians? Stay tuned for that. That will be the next topic. Quest Fanning, long time no see, I think. Stufford, thanks for joining the chat and participating. Quest Fanning says, the pendulum swing from underrepresentation of minorities to marginalized groups to significant overrepresentation can easily cause a distorted worldwide. Plenty of kids think half the population is gay. Yep. And they think that you have to be cool. They've done a great job of making it's beyond a fad at this point. It's the cool thing to do. It's in vogue. You are ostracized if you even say it's not for me. Then on top of that, they've made it rebellious to be that. Trifecta. And you got it. Game, set, match. And it's very powerful if you can do that. That's one of the things that's ignored by the media that historians will talk about. George Mack didn't directly address that, but let's look at his excellent thread. A part of being excellent is just curating information. That's all Libs of TikTok does. I mean, she does some writing too, but she rose into prominence by curating stuff that the algorithm wouldn't curate for you in the way she did it. So there's a big value to curating information. And that's a lot what I do, just look at articles and stuff like that and then add my flavor. But George Mack, my favorite question in 2023, what is ignored by the media but will be studied by historians? Here's the 9 best examples. Overdoses are the leading cause of unliving among the young in the U.S. And nobody talking about it. Maybe Marjorie Taylor Greene and a couple people that get labeled as hateful. I am showing a graph right now. Selected causes of death for people aged 1 to 44 by year 1981 to 2020. And look at the graph just going up and up and up. In 2020, just skyrocketing through the roof. Looks like the M2 money supply. Unliving motor vehicles, unliving heart disease, cancer, all pale in comparison to overdosing. And then you put it in context, which he does beautifully. The silent fentanyl pandemic. Overdose is the leading cause of unliving in under 45s, replacing unliving themselves. The pandemic killed 8,900. That's according to their statistics. Young people in 2020. I repeat, the pandemic unlived 8,900 young people in 2020 from their statistics, using their numbers.
The 65th Grammy Awards is sponsored by Pfizer.
And then in 2020, overdoses killed 49,000 young people. 8,900 by the pandemic. You remember everything that went down with the pandemic. 49,000, 2/3 fentanyl. In 2022, police seized enough fentanyl to unlive every adult and child in America. Where's that stuff coming from? Let me not digress. That's the first one. Number two, the rise of negative media. Since 2010, the media massively increased headlines that use fear, anger, disgust, and sadness. We just saw CNN do an article on what? I did that on digital blackface. Why did they do that? Why did they do an article on digital blackface? Probably because if you look on Twitter right now, that article on Twitter, let's see, I haven't even doubled, but when I did the video, I had like 3 million views. Let's take a look and see. Let's take a look at this. 27.6 million views. And thank you to Elon for putting the views on there. That was not on there before Elon. So why does CNN have an article that says if you are white and you use a GIF or you post a video, you post anything online featuring a black person, you could be guilty of digital blackface? Who decides if it's digital blackface? They do. 27.6 million views. Trust me, we'll see more articles about digital blackface. I mean, if I did a video on digital blackface and got 27.6 million views, you'd probably see more articles about digital blackface. Not in their way. I'm not going to compromise, but let's say I was making fun of it or something like that. There you go. Right there for the number two thing that George Mack was talking about. Look at what happens. Anger. From 2000 to 2019, anger type headlines. Fraction of total headlines in year. Anger skyrocketing. Disgust skyrocketing. I'm part of this too. Fear. I don't want fear, but you could say that. Skyrocketing. Joy plummeting. Articles about joy plummet. Why? Because ain't nobody clicking the links. That's why. That's why those articles are plummeting. Joy plummeting. How about that? Why? Let's not forget. Ties right into the respect bill, Respect Act, Patriot Act. Because the algorithm doesn't favor it. That's why. Algorithm isn't favorable to joyous articles and headlines. There you go. Sadness skyrocketed. Neutral, just completely off the charts. Ain't nobody neutral anymore. That's why being in the middle, not a good idea. I'm still going to be in the middle because I have positions on either side. But from the algorithm, I didn't know this till I didn't know anything about this when I started YouTube and all that. Being in the middle is the worst place to be. It's the absolute worst place to be on the algorithm. So people who are neutral, tanking. Why do you not see people who are neutral online? Because neutral does not pay. The algorithm doesn't know what to do with you if you're neutral. If every video is, I hate Brandon, then the algorithm will know what to do with you. It'll probably suppress you, but it knows what to do with you. If every video is, I hate Trump, it will know what to do with you. That's why Libs of TikTok was able to be favorable in the algorithm, even though they didn't like her on Twitter. Every video was anti-lib, basically gender theory, race theory, very easy to categorize. That's why I started other YouTube channels that I am no longer really, I can't keep up with them because of various reasons, but I was like, man, I got to be more targeted. You see it right there. That's why these headlines are clickbait. That's all it is. And people like Jeremy of the Quartering, very good at feeding into that, riding the wave of the algorithm. I want to learn from him so I can do it too. Why has the media become more negative? Blended study of 105,000 headlines and 370 million impressions concludes each additional negative word in a headline increased the click-through rate by 2.3%. Each negative word. So I'm like, okay, this headline will give me a 50% favorability in the algorithm. Let me throw trans, race, whatever else in it. Each one 2.3%. Let me try to get 50 of those intersectionality words in there, and maybe I can get to maximize my favorability. That was the receipts there. Homeschooling boom. In 1971, this is a good one. And this one will take us to our next topic. I'm going to do some more here, but the next topic is going to be Bryson Gray, Tyson James, Homemaker, but this incredible song that went viral. The homeschooling boom. In 1971, 78,000 kids were homeschooled in America. In 2021, 5 million were homeschooled. Why is there homeschooling booming? Look at that boom. And this is a good one. This is a white pill, which just means optimism. Thought. Zoom classes during the pandemic gave parents an insight to the state of the education system. Absolutely. One size fits all approach doesn't make sense. Absolutely. They made not a mistake. They made a prediction. George Mack said, prediction there will be $1 billion homeschool company created in the next 10 years, which I think there should be. I don't know if there is one now, but everything's crowdsourced. Like you have Uber for daycare. I used one of those services. There's an Uber for daycare. You can vet the person. We had a good experience, my wife and I. Somebody come over, watch the kids, and you pay them money, but how do you find out about them? Through this website. Why wouldn't you do that for teachers? Why wouldn't you say, I need an Uber app for teachers to teach? I want to homeschool my kid. I'm going to go to my neighbors and say, y'all tired of this nonsense? We got 15 kids all around the same age, same class. Can we get a couple teachers to homeschool to help supplement? Because maybe both parents are working. Maybe you don't have a homemaker. A lot of people can't afford that. Living a lifestyle where you have two people. So that could be a thing. You could have an Uber for a parent. Teacher. But I think colleges are going to put the kibosh on this pretty easily. How are colleges going to put a kibosh on this? Colleges are going to say, let's do this. If you get rid of standardized scores, because that gives you an even playing field, and let's do other things like DEI. What's your DEI exercises and extracurricular activities, even if you're homeschooled? Meaning if you want to be an engineer, you want to go to college, you want to do some of these things, you're going to have to be a part of this woke cult, no matter what. We don't have parallel economies at the collegiate level. Still a white pill moment, though. I don't want to put a damper on that. Number 4, ChatGPT is a wrecking ball for the current education system. Look at this. ChatGPT can do homework and is already passing a huge range of exams. So that means there's no need for the people. You take a test, they can get the answers for you. AP, I did take calculus, AP, high school calculus BC, 43%. That's not, well, I don't know. That might be a 3 passing. I didn't do that well on it. Calculus is very high, very hard, very time consuming. And look at these other things here. Uniform bar exam, 80%. Because the bar is basically just memorization. AP chemistry, I'm surprised it's not higher than that. But I do have GPT-4. GPT-4 is really good. AP Chemistry, 49%. Never was good at chemistry. Physics, 36%. My macroeconomics, 51. AP Statistics, 45% percentile. So the AI can do a lot of these memorization tasks and do it very fast and quicker than people. We've talked about this, the mating crisis. We have a mating crisis in our country. Men under 30 reporting no sex in the last year. I repeat, men under 30 reporting no sex in the last year. What they're doing is wanking off. That's what they're doing. They're going to Pornhub, they're going to whatever these other sites are, going to TikTok, and wanking off. They're taking matters into their own hands. They're doing it themselves. That's what they're doing, allegedly.
We are absolutely getting dumber as a species.
Men under 30 reporting no sex in the last year rose 8% in 2008 to, what was the end year there? To 28%. Women reporting no sex rose from 9 to 18%. That's not even taking into account how many have turned gay or whatever, which is not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm being serious here.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
But if you say that some of them increased into being gay and they are having sex, I don't think they're counted under these stats. So it's probably even worse than that. So they're reporting no sex. Very, very concerning. Nobody's really talking about it, not a lot, not mainstream. Young men driving the decline in sex. Share of men and women between ages 18 and 30 reporting no sex in the past year. Tinder introduced and it skyrocketed afterwards. I don't know what that means. I don't know exactly what that means. You have to study it to see. There's many we've talked about on the channel. I won't go in depth here. You let me know if you think you know why. I don't think they're wanking off looking at Tinder. I think Tinder was introduced and a lot of other things were introduced and blew up at that time. Male testosterone levels plummeting. Some studies are pointing towards the following in men. Testosterone levels dropped 20% in the last 20 years. I would say number one thing, Elijah Schaefer is real good about this. He's just like, eat well, work out, meditate. That's the best you can do. And he says, get off social media. I agree. Sperms counts, and I don't know this stuff. Wanking off on yourself probably doesn't help this. You need testosterone to handle your business in real life, to step to women in real life. When you're married, handle your business with your wife. Wank it off, I don't think helps this. Sperm counts have plummeted by 59%. So few conversations about why this is happening. India's booming up. That's the last one I think I'll go over. He went over. India's booming up. I'll just finish it off real quick. Rise of the first teenage billionaire through social media. And I thought there was one more. Number 9 is the great social media merge. This is a good one. The merge, and it was Mr. Beast. This was a great interview. What Mr. Beast is going to talk about here is social media. You can go viral on social media just using that 9x16 platform.
Listening to this will probably find this pretty interesting. Is picture like the content creation meta 3 years ago versus now, where you can make sub 1 minute vertical content and it go viral on TikTok, it go viral on YouTube Shorts, it go viral on Instagram Reels, it goes viral on Facebook, it goes Reddit. You swipe through vertical content now, and Twitter when you click on a video and you flip through it. Mm-hmm. So this is actually very weird. This is the first time in the history of, I guess, Western social media that one form of content could actually go super viral on every single platform. It's never been like that before.
So they're going viral individual. They're not like
I can post something
or whatever.
I can post something on TikTok that will get 100 million views, and then post it on Shorts and it'll get 200 million views, and then post it on Instagram and it get 50 million views, and then I haven't yet, but you can then turn around and tweet it and it get tens of millions of views, and you can post it on Reddit and it get tens of millions of views, and Facebook can get tens of millions of views, and that just wasn't a thing 3 years ago. Twitter didn't have because a lot of you probably don't even know this, but when you tap on a video now and you swipe down, it just turns into TikTok. That wasn't a thing even a year ago. Reddit, that wasn't a thing a year ago. Probably 2 years ago, that wasn't a thing on Instagram. 3 years ago, that wasn't a thing on YouTube, right? With YouTube Shorts. So this is all new. And it's weird. I haven't heard a single person talk about it, but this is the first time where content can actually go viral on every single platform. And you don't have to write or film a video for Facebook, film a 12-minute video for YouTube, film a sub 60-second video for TikTok, write a tweet for Twitter, and post this on Reddit. You can just do the same thing on every platform.
No one's talked about it because no one's as brilliant. When it comes to social media, he's the GOAT. This is Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast. And that's a big deal. It makes it a lot easier to go viral. And as you can see, bringing it back to the Restrict Act, for those other companies, they want those TikTok views. TikTok is the monster. They want those views gone. So now all those 9x16 views, you'll see them uploaded on Instagram. Is it Instagram Reels or Meta Reels or whatever? They merged it all together. You'll see it uploaded in Reels. So I thought that was a great thread by George Mack. Just an example of why Twitter is so strong. Curated that information, put it in a good form. A lot of people are doing great work, great threads on Twitter. Excellent stuff there. Let's take a look and see. People still hanging out. I had to do a separate live, so I broke it up. Nathaniel Erskine says, yesterday somebody said makeup is manly. Yep, I have that link too. Slayer is the supreme heavy metal artist of this time, and they started out in 1981 not dressing like girls. There's an article going viral that saying makeup is manly. It's interesting. You be the judge. Maybe you be the judge of it. We're seeing an attack on masculinity. That's for sure. We know that for sure. It's interesting. I searched makeup, and I have safe search on, and I'm seeing stuff that you shouldn't be seeing. So I thought I had this saved where it was makeup manly. I'm searching it on Twitter. I actually don't have it saved, so I can just search it up here because it's just another example of one of those articles written in a way where it can go viral. And we've seen these articles before, going back to the before times, even before 2020. We saw articles about like making makeup manly and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know why I can't find it now. It was going viral. I think that article was trending. I thought I bookmarked it, but I think I didn't bookmark it because it was just a picture and I didn't have the actual link to the article. But if you don't know, this discussion is being had. It's going viral. New study. Oh, Elijah Schaefer tweet. That's where I got it from, Elijah Schaefer. Elijah Schaefer had a funny tweet. I think he said, or he retweeted it from somebody else who said, what they do is they just put new study in front of whatever they want to trick you with. New studies show men look more masculine. New study shows pandemic does this. That's all you have to do. New study shows that you don't need the Second Amendment for this reason. So I'll just share this. I don't have the actual article here, but I'll just share this little piece here. New study shows men look more masculine when they wear makeup. Ladies, maybe I'm not qualified to answer this one. You all tell me. Do you think this bro looks more or less masculine than he would without makeup? I don't even know who that is. If that is somebody I should know. Somebody said, Oh well, I'm going to have to look more feminine with my 475-pound bench press and 550-pound squat. I'd throw some foundation and mascara on, but it clashed with my beard. That is the Jeffrey Marsh thing where they got the makeup and the beard. It is very disorienting, I will say. Anyone else bored of the experts say, or scientists say, or a new study shows? Yeah, I am bored, Miss Joe. Men don't look more masculine when they wear makeup. They look like men wearing makeup. It tends to feminize them. If my man came home wearing makeup, I would be whipping out the cleanser. She'd probably get the divorce papers ready. So that's the article he was talking about. No, I wasn't. No, I messed that up, Cyan. Sorry. All I needed to do was say, give me a second to see if this was a phone call I needed to take. And instead, I kind of panicked and ejected. And I didn't need the phone call. So I just started up a new live. Because I want to clip them up anyway, so it doesn't matter. Sorry about that. Great friend of the show, Cyan says, sorry, I thought you were done for the day. Was busy spreading the word on the Restrict Act. Yes. Spread the word. I want to get feedback. Maybe I'm missing something on it. There's many smarter people than me that seem to support the Restrict Act. And this is the act that would potentially ban TikTok. It doesn't look like a good act. It doesn't look like a smart thing to do to me. And I want to hear counterpoints on that. If you believe that it is, when we read through the act, it looked like the Patriot Act. So I'm not for it at all. I had a tweet here and I said, I always come back to this. When people made, and you listened, I'm talking about you as in myself, because I know a lot of you didn't listen. When they made us, whoever us is that listened, and I did listen, when they made us put a muzzle on our 2-year-old, that meant they could let it make us do anything they wanted us to do. That was the moment. And it includes up to and including beyond eating bugs, but up to and including eating bugs. Insects. The new human superfood tastes like chicken. Bon appetit. Here's your meal. What you're seeing here are mealworms and beetles and worms climbing on rice or something. I don't know what they do. Being boiled in a pot. Worms being boiled in a pot.
So
yummy.
These are called Tenebria molotors. They're small mealworms. And these are some of the most common insects used in mainstream insect eating.
This is London's first edible insect farm. It's called Horizon Insects. I don't know, maybe put some paprika.
The vegetables that we use are from local shops. So anything that goes to waste, we take and give to our insects.
So that's the video there. As you can see that they are going through and they're showing you how the farm works. Crickets. How do they taste?
The flavor that they have is kind of not conventional.
Yeah, I would guess that the flavor that a bunch of dirty ass insects have is non-conventional. Thank you.
Because obviously you don't find insects that much in mainstream cuisine in the West. The smaller mealworms have like a nutty taste. The larger mealworms have the texture of chicken almost, but they also have kind of an almondy flavor. It's an interesting taste and it works on a lot of dishes. It's usually used as a supplement, but you can also make them into flour, which is then used as
So what we're seeing is a mealworm being some type of worm being mixed in with your ground. It looks like ground beef, ground turkey.
Used in biscuits and cakes, and it's really rich because of the protein. So you can make really filling snacks from them.
Bruh. Farm grows 50 kilos of insects every 8 weeks. And they're crawling up on his hand right now. The worms are actually beetle larvae. Oh, lovely. They're the babies of beetles. When starved, they transform into what? Into beetles. Is that what it is? Each beetle can lay 500 eggs. So you can see how a company would love how efficient this is. You can have farms inside of an office building. Insects are hailed as an environmentally friendly food. Their carbon footprint isn't that big. Mealworms only need 10% of the land used for beef. Wonderful. Great. They're making a burger. They need far less water and produce less CO2 also. I'm sure that's what you care about. Would you cook with them? A Business Insider, the answer is no. I don't know what else I need to tell y'all. I put the muzzle on my 2-year-old, and after that, I was like, I'm not doing this dumb shit anymore. It's over. So I'm not eating. I'm not against trying, man. I'm not trying any live bugs or anything like that. I think Ian Crossland did cricket flour with the bread or whatever. Stuff like that. Okay, it's fine, I guess. Assuming that it's okay and healthy. But I ain't converting over. But clearly that's what they want to. I think are we getting the message yet? I think clearly that's what they would like us to do. Is to convert over. And get that CBDC, that central bank digital currency going. And if your carbon footprint's too high, then maybe you might need to convert over. Because they don't use up as much of the carbon footprint. I think who knows if they're already sneaking it in stuff now. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't trust them that they're not sneaking it into food right now. How would you know? You trust the FDA? This was a topic I did earlier before I split the live up, but this is funny, just really stupid, bro. The memesters. I have the footage of Trump hijacking the beast. I love this. It's Trump's face. So it's some type of, I don't know what the movie reference is, but some type of like kung fu fighting movie. And Trump's in the car. He's fighting 4 guys in the car. Wait until the AI gets good enough where they do it where it doesn't even look hokey. I like it looking hokey, but they'll be able to make that look smoother in the middle. Was that The Matrix? That wasn't The Matrix. I don't remember what movie that was. But people are out here fooling, clowning. Good stuff. Saw a report that Ron DeSantis is actually doing better than thought when you look at it, when you put qualifications on it. So if you put qualifications on it, which this is fair to discuss. I don't have a problem with that. When you put qualifications on it, Ron DeSantis is looking better than you thought. If you're wondering if Ron DeSantis is going to drop out, he probably won't. I think he should. He never announced, so let me not say drop out. He's done the smart thing. He put his toe in the water. I think he should take his toe out of the water. Let's say that. Trump is a bull in the china shop, literally there in that little clip. DeSantis shows early state strength in Iowa. Headline to grasp your attention. They got my attention. 2 new polls from a top Republican polling firm. I do believe in the science behind, math really behind polling, but you can manipulate that easily. But let's just take a look at what we have. It finds that Florida Governor DeSantis is running more competitively with Trump in Iowa and New Hampshire. This was important, and if the DeSantis team is behind these leaks or these polling, very smart and well played. because it didn't look good that Trump is ahead nationally very bigly, I could say. Driving the news, the surveys conducted by Public Opinion Strategies from March 21st to 23rd for an outside client, not a candidate or super PAC found DeSantis leading Trump by 8 points with a big qualification, but leading Trump, wait for it, leading Trump by 8 points, 45% to 37% in a head-to-head matchup in Iowa, the first state in the primary, and tied with Trump 39-39 in New Hampshire. Let's take a look at this. So what they did was in head up, so meaning they took out all the competition other than Trump and DeSantis. When you put the competition back in a more crowded field, which is the real field, including Haley, Vivek Ramaswamy, DeSantis was tied with Trump in Iowa. That's still a good headline for DeSantis. So it looks like if you put everyone back in the field, DeSantis is tied with Trump. But that headline, let's get a little bit more clicks. In a head-to-head, he's up 8. The head-to-head is almost meaningless unless everybody drops out. But it's worth discussing. He's tied in the crowded field, but he did trail by 12 points in New Hampshire in a crowded field. Why does it matter? National polling has shown Trump up. They want to counter that narrative. My take is the national media would prefer DeSantis over Trump. If for the very least, same what George Soros said. George Soros said, hey, basically what George Soros said was, hey, if DeSantis goes in and defeats Trump in the primary, Trump is going to go third party, and that would be the end of the Republican competition. At the very least, that's what DeSantis said. There's no debate about that. And at the very least, the media agrees with that and would like that. I think they would agree with that 1,000% without any hesitation. In Iowa, his favorability rating was 81 to 11, so 81% favored, 11% disfavored. Trump was 74-24. So those are pretty good numbers for Trump, actually. I'm surprised it wasn't worse for Trump in that regard. But that's the headline there on the polling. There are some polling out there showing that Trump's ahead with black voters as well. There's polling out there showing that DeSantis kind of has they're arguing that he has a black voter problem, at least when you compare it with Trump. Let me just bring that up real quick. That's not going to take too long to cover. I do have some comments on that. So let's take a look at it. Let's see here. Okay. This is from friend of show, great channel, Adam Francisco, amazing channel. Holler at Adam. I found out about this through him. He said people of color are waking up. Voters of color are a big reason Trump leads the GOP primary. Then there's a lot of headlines on this. Why Trump has Republicans of color on lock. Trump is way ahead with Republicans of color voters. His challengers better take note. Voters of color are a big reason Trump leads the GOP primary. Voters of color heavily favor Trump over DeSantis and for president in 2024, polls suggest. This is from Politico. I apologize. I didn't even take where I got this from. That's very bad, very bad video stuff, but moving along. White voters made up overwhelming majorities of the first 4 early voting states, including 9% of the Iowa caucus voters. So I just want to put perspective here. White voters are the majority of these voters, but if you are neck to neck with the white voters like Trump and DeSantis, I've seen polling, they are pretty neck to neck, then other factors will come into play. Just to be clear, I don't want to be playing any identity politics. This is just looking at the breakdown. It is what it is. The fact that Trump is doing considerably better among Republican voters of color than white Republicans flies in the face. This is the other thing that I found interesting. It flies in the face of the fact that many Americans view Trump as racist. It really does. Trump's lead among Republican voters of color comes at a time when they are becoming a larger part of the party. More people. So in 2016, voters of color were 13%. Today, they're closer to 18%. And even though I don't like the identity politics, you have to give credit to Candace Owens, Officer Tatum, Blexic has to play a role, in my opinion, in doing this. So that's very good stuff. Don't pander. You just bring the message to people who might not be getting the message. Democrats don't want black males to be getting any type of message from Steve Bannon because it will resonate. Black women, as we've discussed, they're in their own world. They're gone. So we're basically talking about voters of color being men, basically, here. The question going into 2024 is whether voters of color will continue their shift to the Republican Party. Democrats are concerned of that. They're very concerned about that. I saw this thing go viral with 2 women, and people were kind of joking, like, are they going to be the new Diamond and Silk? Because it was going viral, and they had this shirt that I've never seen the shirt before. It said Black Lives MAGA. It was a pretty cool shirt when you think about it, Black Lives MAGA. But it was a video that went viral, and they're concerned about any type of message they can't control reaching people that they want to control. And I think it's a very interesting tweet, a very interesting approach to kind of twist it around from it being Black Lives Matter to Black Lives MAGA. I don't think they said anything that YouTube would censor, but I'll have my finger on the trigger just in case they do. But here's what it looked like.
You guys, we are just here. Black Lives MAGA. Woo! All lives MAGA. Woo! Yes, we are here.
I like All Lives MAGA better, but both are dope. Because I'm not really into the Black Lives. I do like All Lives MAGA.
You guys, we are.
I might just take it and put it on the shirt. Nobody has a trademark, so I might do that.
You guys, we are just here. Black Lives MAGA. Woo! All lives MAGA. Woo! Yes, we are here to support our president, Donald John Trump.
We are not black. Remember that.
Okay.
We ain't black.
Joe Biden said,
Joe Biden said we ain't black.
If you don't vote for him, you ain't black.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
So I guess I ain't black. Okay, so we want to see more minorities. We want to see more people of color, the left. We want to see, because we know that you are out there. Maybe you're afraid to step out and to show your support for America and for God and for Donald Trump and for country. But come on out. It's okay. Come on to the right side. Come on to the right side.
If you like high gas prices, if you like killing babies, if you don't know whether you're a man or woman, a child, like a unicorn, a frog, if you don't know what you are, or anything like that, if giving all your hard-earned money to a different country is what you like, this ain't the party for you.
And guess what? If you keep voting left, you'll have nothing left.
Hello.
I thought that was awesome. A good way to wrap up that Trump take there. To see them say that, yeah, it's about courage. I don't want you to force anybody to believe anything they don't believe. Don't believe it. But if you do believe something, don't be afraid to speak out. And that takes me to a very, I didn't know it was going to be this controversial, but I think it's worth it. Very controversial topic that I went back and forth with, respectfully on Twitter, went back and forth with quite a few people on the topic of Leah Thomas and, in general, biological males invading the spaces of women. And this I got a lot of stuff on this. Let's go back to it. I did a little YouTube shorts on it. Actually, TikTok has been really slamming hard on me. The video I did on what does LGBTQ ally mean got taken off of TikTok. And when it's a very short video, all the video said was, what does it mean to be an LGBTQ ally? I said, I think it means that you only have sex with Democrats. And the CCP, a Chinese country, they censored it. They took it down. I think you'll see the same type of say you take TikTok out, you'll see the same type of censorship through Meta. YouTube, I don't know if YouTube will get that crazy. YouTube did not censor that. I don't know if they let it. Those shorts don't get monetized. You can monetize them, but you have to get millions of views to really make money from them. But, Cyan, thank you for $10 super chat. Let's take a look at this here before we go to the next topic. Question, is there a means to increase the amount to support your channel under join option? It gives me the impression under other types of badges you can. $1 is cheap, in my opinion. Well, thanks. Like, I'm just a bruh, and until I can find a way to consistently provide. She's talking about being a member to the YouTube channel. Thank you so much for the super chat. Means a lot. Keeps me motivated. Maybe I can get a upgraded studio, do some marketing. Who knows? The money would be going back into the channel. Any money. It is only $1 to be a member. Why is it only be $1 to be a member? Is because I have not been consistent with providing content for membership, and I've got to take some time and sit down and think through that. Like, what's the best way to do that? But it's $1 just to throw your boy a couple quarters. So I do not at this point, but when I can provide value, maybe it's a Zoom call or something like that. I don't know what it is, but thanks a lot. I will let you know when I provide more value, do more marketing. I haven't done. I said I was going to get my grift game right, and I have not done that. So I got to work on that. Thank you, Cyan. Appreciate you. Cyan found out about me through the Tim Pool stuff. So just worth it to have one person come through that. Made it all worth it. Thank you so much. The Leah Thomas topic came up, and this is how it sounded when ESPN Disney, let's not forget, this is Disney. Disney celebrated Leah Thomas as a biological man during the month for women.
In 2022, swimmer Leah Thomas became the first transgender athlete to win an NCAA Division I championship by winning the 500 freestyle. The Texas native competed for 3 seasons on the men's swim team at the University of Pennsylvania. She began her transition after her sophomore season, and after a gap year due to the pandemic that forced the Ivy League to cancel all sports, Thomas made her debut as a member of the women's team in December 2021.
Being trans is not a choice. I didn't have any other choice because not transitioning was not leading me anywhere.
She competed amidst criticism from the swimming community, competitors, and teammates. She said she hopes her persistence serves a larger purpose.
People will say, oh, she just transitioned, so she would have an advantage, so she could win. I transitioned to be happy.
So that's what the clip, I know the volume's low, so that's the clip though, and they're ESPN celebrating. Thank you, Quest Fanning, new member. Yeah, it's only $1. YouTube takes, I believe it's 30%, so you throwing me basically about 3/4. Appreciate that. I'm going to try to find a way to do the content. I don't know, maybe make some of the lives. You know what Young Rippa does is he makes his lives members only if you want the whole live. But you can get them on podcasts, though. But just as giving you something to be a member. And then he clips them up for his segments. But yes, thank you. I got to figure out what works for me. That's what it is. Disney celebrating this, and I made a I didn't know it was going to be that controversial, but, and no offense to women out there, it's a respectful challenge. David Hook said, how can any women work at ESPN after this? The network is just openly mocking them at this point. And I kind of felt the same way, and I had to come up, and I was like, if I mess up, trust me, my wife lets me know. I will know. If I make a mistake or whatever, serious mistake, my wife will let me know. I will hear about it. As rightfully so. The truth is, taking this to the larger picture, I know every woman's different, but taking it to the larger picture, the truth is women are fine with this. They are fine with Leah Thomas invading their spaces. If they weren't, they would send a clear message to Disney. And as you can see, I got ratioed here, which is good. Let's have this conversation. So I got ratio 95 comments, 64 likes. I wasn't making that tweet. Don't make any tweets to get likes. So let's see what was the feedback, though. Hello, look at the comments. I promise you they are not fine with it. What happens when instead of one man participating, there are 10 or 20, there will be the ones to qualify for the events. Females will be completely shut out of sports. And my end take on this is looking at what happened in the primary. Just look at America. We saw single white women come out very strong, maybe because it was Roe v. Wade getting abolished, falling off. But they went very hard for Democrats, especially young women, but single women in general went hard for Democrats. We know politically black women are gone. So they're part of that group, though, women in general. Until you prioritize, the Democratic Party is the number one place. That doesn't mean to vote Republican, vote whatever you want, doesn't mean to vote MAGA. There's many other options other than Democrats. Or you can just not vote at all. I'm not telling you which party to vote for. I'm just saying you're voting for people who support this and support Disney in this endeavor. If women don't want it, they won't support the Democrat Party anymore. It's that. You don't need to put anything more under it other than that. That's where it starts. You would never support an organization that would support that. And here's what it sounds like. Democrat Party, here's a woman from the Democrat Party, probably the most famous woman in the Democrat Party. And her take on trans issues, trans rights. She says this stuff with impunity. She says this stuff without worrying about what anybody's going to say of her, because she knows that she has the fear. There's a lot of fear in women, and they won't say anything back. This is AOC, the most famous Democrat probably in the country, much less woman, any gender. What's her take on these issues? Women, if you don't want this, you don't like it, you might need to talk to her. Don't worry about me.
Many of these disgusting and insinuating attacks on trans and LGBT people are actually projections of what predatory, cisgender, and often straight men do when left alone in the presence of women, or sometimes horribly, children. So instead of getting you to challenge the patriarchy, they're trying to get you to challenge the very gender expressiveness that challenges patriarchy. Don't get it twisted, because a lot of people attacking drag are projecting. Many of these disgusting and insidious
Quest Fanning sums it up perfectly. The Democrats have gotten amazing mileage out of fear-mongering. A lot of it is fear, scared to say anything. You obviously would not say anything that would be even deemed, and you've seen people fired from their job for just following libs of TikTok, not even agreeing with them or her. Yeah, there's a lot of fear out there. Okay, and that sums up what I said. Women don't care. They might feel uncomfortable. They might think it's weird. They might not like it, but they don't think it's big enough for them to say something. And here's AOC. Let's listen to this one more time. AOC, it's amazing what she can say, just with no regard for any type of pushback.
Many of these disgusting and insinuating attacks on trans and LGBT people are actually projections of what...
What does that mean? First of all, what are the attacks, and what do you mean by projection? You mean that they really want to be trans? That's what projection means. You're starting off bad. You make no sense.
Many of these disgusting and insinuating attacks on trans and LGBT people are actually projections of what predatory, cisgender, and often straight men do when left alone in the presence of women, or sometimes horribly, children.
So she's saying that she's using cis as a derogatory term. That's a slur. That is a slur. That is no different than saying any type of slur to any other group. You can say whatever you want. You can use it if you want, but if you subscribe to the ideology of slur words, that's a slur word. She's saying cis men.
Cisgender and often straight men do when...
Cisgender and straight men, you're getting attacked right now. She's basically calling you pedos.
Left alone in the presence of women, or sometimes horribly, children. So instead of getting you to challenge the patriarchy, they're trying to... This is the craziest part. She's saying that Leah Thomas competing as a biological man with women challenges the patriarchy. That's literally what she's saying. Get you to challenge the very gender expressiveness that challenges patriarchy. Don't get it twisted.
She says that Leah Thomas basically would be gender expressiveness that challenges the patriarchy.
Very gender expressiveness that challenges patriarchy. Don't get it twisted, because a lot of people attacking drag are projecting.
Yikes. And these people are not easy to get along with. These are people that it's hard to ration with. No one exposes that better than the greatest culture jammer of our time, one Alex Stein, number 99. That is that dude. He is, I have affectionately, and this is a compliment, talking about ODB, the old dirty bastard of Wu-Tang fame. Alex Stein is one of the greatest of all time. He has one of the greatest get off me moves of all time. He crashed a child trans rally, and this is what, you might have seen this go viral. This is what it looked like.
See these white racist heterosexual assholes? Like you look just like him. Get the fuck out of What rights do you not have? Look at this. What rights do you not have? You don't have the right to What rights do you not have? What rights do you not have? Protect trans kids. Look at this. These want to cut kids' penises off. These are disgusting. They want to cut. They want to cut and mutilate children's genitals. Look, they want to cut children's wieners off. Yeah, stop pushing. Yeah. Listen, you're disgusting. I'm not hurting you. Get the police. Back up. There's kids here. Get off me. There's kids here. What am I going to do? What are you going to do about it? You guys, how are you going to protect a kid by cutting off his genitals? These people don't want to protect kids. They don't want to protect kids. By what? By cutting their genitals off? What are you guys going to do? Guys, you're not protecting a kid by cutting his wiener off. You kids, you should not have your... Get off me. Get off me. Get off me. Hey. No. Look at this. Guys, this is why these people... Get out of the way. Get off me. Guys, you guys are all freaks. You guys should be ashamed of yourself. Children cannot consent. Children cannot consent. No, it's not. I should kill myself? You have no friends. Do you think I should kill myself? Nobody will love you. I hope you live forever. I'm sorry that you want me to kill myself. Nobody will love you. That's really sad. You don't love your...
It's interesting how they can use terms and attacks that you can't use on them. Imagine if Alex Stein had said that to that person. They're very sensitive about it. They get in their feelings about it. That's fine if you're getting your feelings about it, but then the other way, it's not the same thing. I'm going to reply to this one. This is my first, what's my grand takeaway from this? We almost had part 2 of Get Off Me. This is one of the most infamous moments for me with Alex Stein. Get Off Me when he was at this different rally. This was back in November of last year.
Let him go sideways.
I don't want...
All right, Alex, you need to leave.
Get off me.
Let him go sideways.
I don't want...
All right, Alex, you need to leave. Let him go sideways.
I don't want...
He absolutely eliminated this dude. If you're just listening, some dude has his chin. Alex Stein, as Quest Fanning said, is a big dude. He's like a Brandon Jacobs compared to a lot of these other people out there. Brandon Jacobs is the running back, one of my favorite running backs. Big dude. Of the past, one of my favorite running backs. And look at this. Just throws this guy off like he's a piece of paper. Get off me. And he's just completely eliminated. It's just, I mean, not like that, but just on the ground. And then even the Tifa group is like, he's a big dude. Just leave. I just replied underneath that post with that. But all he did, what happened there? What is, wow. Oh, the tweet has been deleted. Oh, wow. That old tweet got deleted. Wow. I guess, I don't know what happened. He had to delete that old footage. But back to this one, he got assaulted with hot coffee. This was in San Francisco. So he was in the belly of the beast. I do not recommend trying this at home. He's got money. He's got a lawyer on call. This is not something to just try at home and doing. I don't know if he has bodyguards there or not. He should. I don't know what he's putting his life on the line. So be safe, bro. I know you're a culture jammer. You're very important to the movement. I have the utmost respect for him, but be safe. First and foremost. But he's exposing them. What are they so scared of? Words. What are they scared of? They're scared of his words. Him talking. He wasn't trying to start any fights or beef or anything physical. All he does is get off me when you get too close or get up on him, which is perfectly understandable and perfectly fine. I do support that. And there was one time he went over the line. Everybody crosses the line. If you don't cross the line, then you haven't come close to it enough. He crossed the line with the big booty Latina. In my opinion, it was a little disrespectful going up to a woman in that manner. And I'm one to talking about Nancy Pelosi's assets, but I would not do it in person. Am I making a semantical argument, or I don't know? But I would not go in person and say, "Hi, Nancy P, nice to meet you." And it's great to see those assets in person. You know, we've talked a lot about them on the channel. I got blocked by Rex Chapman for agreeing that she had great assets. I would not do that to her in person. Does that make me righteous? No. I don't know what it makes me. A hypocrite? I don't know. Let me know what you think. Not about Nancy Pelosi's assets. We've talked about that enough on the channel. They are good without question, and we don't have debate about that. If you're just new to the channel, haven't heard about that, Nancy Pelosi has been a constant topic on the channel, and the topic that she's been on the channel in regards to is having two talents. And we don't really debate it. We just talk about it from time to time. Imagine back in the day, me telling you that Roseanne Barr. So imagine in 1990, being a time traveler, going back to 1990 and telling everyone that one day Roseanne Barr would be better looking than Madonna. And not just better looking, like orders of magnitude more attractive than Madonna. Imagine going back in time and telling somebody that. And it being true. Basically, we can call that one a fact. That was just a random thought break. I'm going to do that from time to time where we just go through and we just random thought break. Deep Thoughts with Jack Handy. That's exactly what that was. My dude, one of the best thread makers out there. Dude is one of the best thread makers out there. Like, when you look at his threads, he starts them off with like clickbait very often to get you to jump into his threads. And then you're off to the races. You're off and running. And it's the homie Don. And I didn't know how big he was when I followed him. He's a big deal. Dom Luker, I believe is how you pronounce his name. And he threw out a thread that's very similar to a thread that I would throw out there. And it was very simple, not much to it. This has been a controversy on the channel with friend of the show, Will Cormier. I haven't chatted with him a while because he's not on Twitter anymore. Getting his health right, probably. Not on Twitter with all this toxic behavior that I'm a part of. Dom Luker says, Twitter, please don't force me to prove that AOC is hot. What do you think in the chat, everyone? This has been a topic. It's been controversial on the channel. Where I stand on it is I fully admit that it's probably because of her political views, but I cannot separate them from how she looks. I don't separate them from how she looks. Maybe that's the reason why she does not do anything for me. AOC is a 3. That's just for me, no disrespect. You could say I'm a negative 20. That's fine. But when we talk about what AOC is for me, I say she's a 3. Then Incompetent Human says she's hot until she speaks. And then I replied underneath it with that clip that I already played. I said, how's that for sexy talk? When somebody has political, social takes this bad, there is no unseeing it. This is the video that I just played. But think of it, I'm not going to play the whole thing, but it's short. But think of it from the standpoint of how is this person attractive or not?
Many of these disgusting and insinuating attacks on trans and LGBT people are actually projections of what predatory, cisgender, and often straight men do when left alone in the presence of women.
I'm sorry. That's not cute. That's not attractive. So it's going to be, it is what it is for me. I can't separate it. I said, not only that, how old is, AOC is 30, let me look it up real quick. How old is AOC? She's about 35, I think. Because she's going to be about 37. She can run for president if she wanted to in 2024. Wait. Oh, yeah, you have to be 35, not 37. She's 33. So AOC is 33, and let's compare her to Carrie Lake. Carrie Lake is 53. Okay. Carrie Lake is a generation older than AOC. Who do you think I think looks more attractive? Like, not even close. Like, not even close. And I fully admit part of it's not just looks, but even though Carrie Lake, we've talked about it on the channel, is very attractive. I'm just going to be honest about it. I'm going to be respectful, but we're going to be honest about it.
Now, the most important thing is we got to bring him back.
No, not Trump.
No, I'm not talking about who you think, but I do agree with you on that. We've got to bring him back.
And I don't know if that's the reason or what the reason is, or I'm just getting older, so I'm more, I'm 45. I almost forgot how old I was. I'm 45. Carrie Lake is 53 and she's married. Be respectful in the chat. She's 53 and looks better than AOC. So I don't know. We've talked about this a lot in the chat. Do the philosophical views play a role in things? I even said AOC is repulsive to me. Like I wouldn't, even if the product, even if you got like help involved from the product that sponsors different things from heart ailments to the pandemic, I don't even know if that would work.
The 65th Grammy Awards is sponsored by Pfizer.
So let me know what you think on that one. Carrie is a 10. We've got people talking about Carrie is a 10. I would say she's a 9. I want to save the 10s, but I would rate Carrie Lake as a 9. There is no question. Quest Fanny, appreciate the honesty. Quest Fanny says AOC is hot, but she ain't going to be hot in 2 decades. 2 decades from is Carrie Lake. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what she does. How she handles the aging, but Carrie Lake that is a significant difference for me to compare two ages. Yeah. Sovereign Bra was on, Tim Pool has a great channel here. It's the same channel, but he's doing every Friday conversations with people. And Sovereign Bra was on there. I don't know him other than these clips that go viral. You can tell Tim likes the dude a lot, I think. They had good chemistry on this. Here's a clip from their discussion. Testimony in 42 seconds. Christ is Lord. To God the glory.
Do you have any concluding thoughts on that whole arc of Satanism or whatever? I mean,
yeah, there's abundant evidence that Jesus Christ was a real person who actually resurrected from the dead and is actually the Son of God.
Is he coming back?
He's absolutely coming back. If people want to find out more about that, I was an atheist. I became a Christian after I read a book called More Than a Carpenter by Josh McDowell. This book was written by a guy who tried to disprove Christianity. And in the process of trying to disprove it, he realized all of the evidence was in favor of it being true. He lays out all the evidence in the book. I read it, realized that it's irrefutable, in my opinion, that Jesus Christ is actually the Son of God, became a Christian. I would just encourage everybody, turn to Christ. He offers you eternal life, and in the forgiveness of your sins and faith and belief in him, you can have eternal life, and that'll be very important to hold on to in the years ahead.
I thought he was very likable. And And I wonder if Tim, because Tim had mentioned multiple times, I'm going to move on to Julian Assange real quick, but Tim had mentioned multiple times there are people who he knows that reach out to him that say, hey, I would speak out, but I can't do it on your show just because, what topics could come up, and because Tim talks about hot topics or whatever, and they want to be careful. But then Tim kind of had the idea, like, if you come in and we just do a one-on-one, well, how would that work? And it's not live. So they come in, and Sovereign Bra was there, and he's able to speak, present himself well. What great idea by Tim Pool, and just a great clip by him there. Did you know that Julian Assange, some people might not know this, shout out to Sabby Sabs. Julian Assange is at Belmarsh, but he hasn't been convicted of a crime. He's solely there based on the request of the DOJ. Other prisoners talk about when they'll get out, but with Julian, we just don't know.
From what I understand, even though he is at Belmarsh, he actually hasn't been convicted of a crime, correct?
That's right. He's been held there solely at the request of the US DOJ. He's unconvicted, not serving a sentence. That's why it's often strange going to visit him, because you'll have other prisoners who are talking about the day they're going to get out, or what they're planning for when they get released. But with Julian, we just don't know. It's sort of a never-ending court proceeding, and this whole time he's been kept in this prison that's has convicted murderers in it, convicted terrorists and things like that. And I think John's point about the prisoners, it was the prisoners petitioning that changed Julian's situation. And I think that sort of speaks to that Julian's situation is not going to change, from the top down. It's not the lawyers who are asking the prison to change his situation that worked. It's not the UN Special Rapporteur who found that Julian was being psychologically tortured that changed his position. It came from the bottom up, from the prisoners in the prison, putting forward these three petitions. So I think that's a really neat way to see, how things actually change in Julian's case, and it's from us, from the people, not from a changing government or things like that.
Right. This is a message that we tell people a lot, like on the show, like it really does come from the people. Have you heard any type of communication from Merrick Garland or President Biden in reference to Julian's situation?
No, nothing at all, except Mark Raimondi, after the change of government, the Biden administration moved in. Mark Raimondi is the Department of Justice spokesperson for the Department of Justice.
Great clip by Sabby Savs. She has a great channel. She's on the populist left is what I would label her. It's just important to label just so you know what you're getting into. Other than that, it's not important. But she did a great job highlighting that in the interview there. We have breaking news that I was not aware of coming out of Nashville. I'm going to go take a look at that right now. I was not planning on talking about this, but it looks like we have another incident coming out of Nashville, and I don't know if this is a school. I'm going to take a look and see if I can figure out what's going on. We're going to go to Fox. Hold on a second here. It is a school shooting.
Finally, from Carly Pierce, praying for Nashville. A shooting at a school has occurred. 3 children dead. Praying for these babies and their families. Absolutely devastating. Of course, so we are continuing to follow this major story here on Live Now from Fox. I'm Andy Mack. We're going to take a quick 2-minute break.
Let's take a look and see if we have any more reports. I don't know what is happening. Let me...
stories unfold, what we learn, when we learn it. I can tell you that America's reputation internationally is now in part as the place where school shootings happen all the time. And there is a certain numbness that the American public feels, that people who cover it feel, and I'm sure law enforcement begins to feel. And yet we also have, for this community that was going about their business today, a shocking event, 3 families that don't have children coming home for dinner tonight. And it raises the question of how rare it is to have a 28-year-old female shooter perpetrate a crime like this. Have you heard of anything like that? A female shooter?
Wow.
It is. Yeah, it is. It has happened. But according to some of the statistics that we've gathered here at CBS News in the last couple of hours, it sounds like, more than 95% of these shooters are typically male. So it is rare. However, I'm sort of looking beyond that, to be honest, because, again, as I said earlier when we were having this discussion, these kinds of things can happen anywhere, anytime.
Yeah.
Okay? And now the other variable is it can be anyone, anytime. So while there is a lot of focus on the gender of this shooter, the fact of the matter remains, it still happened. There are still 3 kids who died, 3 adults. And this, as you noted, Tony, it fits the pattern. And the other pattern is we're going to hear lawmakers say, I did this, we need to do this, Congress needs to get involved, yada, yada. And then in 2 weeks, nothing will happen.
Yeah.
To be, let's be honest here. It's the same kind of pattern. And in the meantime, you have this community that's shattered. You have this school. I don't know how anybody's going to send their kids back to the school. It is so sad how these things continue to unfold. And you can kind of see the frustration, the anger in the voice, in the eyes of the police chief there in Nashville. You have some men and women who are trained in law enforcement. I'm sure they've seen some really terrible situations. However, this is the kind of thing that law enforcement, you look at it and you think, we could probably prevent something like this from happening.
You think?
We could probably mitigate the circumstances under which things like this happen. And they are more and more responding to these active shooter situations, and everybody's stomach drops because what that involves. And for the officers who are responding and who have to be the first on scene, it takes courage to go in there and to go find the gunman or the woman who has pulled the trigger. So these situations are so sad, and you're right. It is become uniquely American. But if you see what is happening overseas, it is this American phenomenon that has sort of been imported to some countries overseas because they see what's happening here, and people, again, who should not have guns in those countries are now carrying out mass shootings too. It's really, really unfortunate.
Yeah.
Jeff, thank you so much. We want to bring in Charles
Thanks,
Marino,
Jeff.
who's joining us now. He's a former Homeland Security Department advisor and CEO of Sentinel.
I'll continue with him in a second, but what I see in our country is we care about, and I'm not saying this is necessarily wrong or what, but we have to be honest. It is somewhat harsh, might be ugly, but we care about the shooting because it happens in a school. There's people who get shot all the time in all different parts and cities of our country that they will get shot and it doesn't make national news. Younger people, all types of night, all types of places, they'll get shot and it's not going to make national news. So I think we are picking and choosing when to be outraged, is what I will say.
Can you just give us your take, Charles, on what we've been learning? What's been going through your mind, given your experience?
Yeah, well, it's a tragedy that our schools have become these high-value targets and need to be defended as such. They need to be fortified, and schools now have to become, in a security sense, the last line of defense to prevent anybody from getting into schools. We see it here that there's no standardized profile. Yes, there's been a history where we've heard that they're primarily male and white, but we're seeing that evolve. We're seeing that cross races. And now today is a perfect example. We're seeing an unprecedented situation in which a 28-year-old female is carrying out this attack. So what it tells us is that this is very specific to the person and to the site or the venue, and that there was some grievance with this school in which this female was connected. So it tells us that if you cannot catch this early in advance and disrupt it, that you're going to have to have the mechanisms in place to mitigate it, to stop the attack.
Yeah, well, I mean, Charles, I understand. I hear you talking about hardening schools, but, you know, at the end of the day, it is a church with a school attached. There are parking lots. People have to walk to cars. If you really have a grudge against that particular institution and you want to do harm, you don't have to go through a side door. This young lady, this shooter, this killer could sit right out in front. So is there another alternative security-wise other than continuing to harden the structure itself? Because it seems to me there's still soft spots.
Well, it's definitely a multifaceted approach, and it involves having somebody on site, like a school resource officer. That could be an on-duty law enforcement officer or an off-duty that's in uniform, has a visual deterrent to show that there is armed security there at the school, and preferably law enforcement. The county I live in, we have school resource officers in every single one of our schools. Now, I understand that not every community has the means to do that, but I can.
As he was talking, I'm on Twitter and I'm looking to see what are people saying. This is unbelievable stuff, everybody. If you haven't seen this, in the wake of a school shooting, Joe Biden made comments. He said he came down to speak because he heard there was ice cream and gets distracted by good-looking kids in the audience. I don't know what's going on. This is my first time seeing it. I hope there's some context I'm missing.
Room of the White House.
My name is Joe Biden. I'm Dr. Joe Biden's husband. And I ate Jenny's ice cream, chocolate chip. I came down because I heard there was chocolate chip ice cream. By the way, I have a whole refrigerator full upstairs. You think I'm kidding? I'm not. God. Ben, how are you, pal? One of the best guys in the United States Congress, Ben Cardin. Folks, it's a delight to have you all here. And who are those good-looking kids back there?
Oh, my goodness.
They're your kids, all four of them? Well, stand up, guys.
John, we'll jump back in here. Considering the moment,
we were told
that the shooting that just happened left 3 children dead, 3 adults dead, shooters dead, and we were told he would be addressing this off the top.
Yeah, it's rather surprising. I thought that a somber President Biden would have come to the podium here and addressed the school shooting.
What? I don't know. I'm not going to make any comment. The anchors were definitely surprised. That's unusual, even for Fox News, to have that commentary after a Biden speech. I don't know the timing exactly. I don't know if he knew. Sounds like they expected him to know. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that one. Anybody know the timing on that? And just weird. I don't know what's going on. You would think he would be briefed or something. And And what you have to do is tell him, because even if he has no malintent, or even if he has all his cognitive abilities, he might just, you're trying to talk to the crowd. You might need a reminder that, hey, this is a somber one, lean in somber. Don't forget about, I don't know what his staff is saying. I don't know the timing. It's spreading like wildfire on Twitter. So I don't know. I need more context. I think that one needed a longer clip. I would not upload that one without more context. I need to see him. How long did it take for him? Did he address the shooting?
From the White House.
Yeah, I'm trying to look for a longer one. That's the longest one I can find so far, is a minute. So that one needed more context, that's for sure. But let's go back to the news.
Right. Oh, we're going to tell you about that too. We tend to create.
I'm going to go to, let's see. This is Fox 10, back to Fox 10.
3, 4, 5, 6. We are live here near the Presbyterian Covenant School.
This is not live. This is a replay.
Yes, Hannah, Vicky, we just arrived here on the scene. As you can see behind me, a line of law enforcement officials. We could still hear them coming and approaching on the scene. This is as close as what we can get as for right now. Information still, not as available as, we expected, but for what we do know, that there has been multiple patients of an aggressor at the Covenant School. There are parents that are still trying to make their way through this traffic. They are being turned around. We have seen them running towards the school and just frightened, as you can imagine, to get the news from whether it's social media or the school that their child or loved one may be in danger. And of course, they're being turned around. The reunification area is at 2100 Woodmont Boulevard. That is where the school and MNPD is telling parents to meet their children who attend the Covenant School here at 33 Burton Hills Boulevard. Again, it is just a frightening and terrifying situation. I can't imagine what these parents are going through. But thankfully, our first responders are here on the scene. They are making sure parents get to where they need to go. They're filling them in on
scary looking scenes there early on. I do have another clip from Joe Biden.
Situation reportedly hit their schools, so they aren't turned into prisons. The shooter in this situation reportedly had 2 assault weapons and a pistol, 2 AK-47. So I call on Congress again to pass my assault weapons ban. It's about time that we begin to make some more progress, but there's more to learn.
Wow, Democrats are crazy, man. Republicans, I've seen MAGA kind of not do the exact same thing, but body's still warm and went straight to legislation. I know people are tired of debating it and stuff like that, but there's a time and place for everything. I don't think that was the time and place to do that. So we're still seeing a lot of different stories and things coming out on the weapons, and the person is unlived, it looks like right now. So I'm going to get some more information, see if anybody else is covering this live right now, because the details change, fluid. I'm already seeing somebody said it was a female in their teens, but now the most recent news is that she was 28. That's a big difference there. So let's see if we have any more live news to get the biggest and best update on this here. This is ABC.
Start investing now, and we need to be focusing on the states and at the grassroots level to make that change.
Thank you, Elizabeth. If I can pick up on that with Pierre. So the states are moving. Illinois this year under Governor.
I don't have a problem with ABC News debating it through a live feed where they're talking about a lot of different topics. But the president, any politician, for me, it's a little off-putting, even probably any time during that same day. I don't know when the right time is, but just right then and there, talking about legislation by Biden, it rubs me the wrong way.
Governor J.B. Pritzker became the 9th state to ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines in that state. There's definitional issues around that, of course. But there are 9 states that have done that. There are states that have done other things on mental health. New York State, after the Buffalo shooting, increased the age requirement for owning a long gun from 18 to 21. So states are on the move. Now, with the conservative Supreme Court, it's anybody's guess how many of those laws survive. But as you cover this issue, as you have so much, do you see the frustration that Elizabeth is talking about, that so many have, resulting in more grassroots and state-level action?
Well, I think the state of Michigan is also considering some additional gun control measures. What I do sense is, in recent years, law enforcement has become pretty unanimous in their concern that they're sometimes at scenes and outgunned. And
here's another clip. It looks like an anti-gun lobbyist got involved during the press conference. Let's listen in on this.
Okay, thanks.
Aren't you guys tired of covering this? Aren't you guys tired of being here and having to cover all of these mass shootings? I'm from Highland Park. Family vacation with my son, visiting my sister-in-law. I have been lobbying in D.C. since we survived a mass shooting in July. I have met with over 130 lawmakers. How is this still happening? How are our children still dying, and why are we failing them? Gun violence is the #1 killer of children and teens. It has overtaken cars. Assault weapons are contributing to the border crisis and fentanyl. We are arming cartels with our guns and our loose gun laws. And these shootings and these mass shootings will continue to happen until our lawmakers step up and pass gun safety legislation. I'm pretty sure this was an unsecured weapon that this teenager got a hold of. We can't even pass gun safety, like safe storage laws in this country to protect kids from getting a hold of.
So, yeah, looks like they jumped in on the press conference, and hey, if you want press, they jumped in and got it. Nobody's going to be at that moment very forceful against that woman because it would look bad. So it worked. You got that. She grabbed the mic pretty much literally. How did she? She sounded very clear. Does she have? I wonder where the audio source was for that mic, because it sounded like it was her press conference.
After another mass shooting at a school, an elementary school.
Deadly shooting as well. The news keeps coming. Keep it right here.
So the ABC News is going to go on a break. Let's go back to, let's see here. Well, those are both ABC News feeds. Are they different feeds? Let me see.
Park, California, on the ground in Ukraine. Reporting from Uvalde, Texas.
No, I think that's the same feed. But it looks like this incident happened, I'm not sure, was it an hour ago? I just found out about it 15 minutes ago, so I don't know when this happened. Let's go back to an older video. Let's see this one here.
And we have breaking news from Tennessee this hour. Nashville Police Department officials confirming that a school shooting suspect connected to an incident this morning is one of 4 people who've died after that individual allegedly engaged with responding officers. Students from the Covenant School are currently in buses led by police vehicles. They're arriving at a nearby church to be reunited with their parents. So we'll bring you a lot more updates as we get them.
Okay, I'm seeing reports from 3 hours ago. I'm just going back on Twitter to see when do I see the first reports of it, at least on Twitter, which is probably going to break news before mainstream. I'm seeing it 3 hours ago. So they did confirm 28-year-old female. What a unusual situation. We do not see a lot of 28-year-old females doing mass events like this. Very, very different.
In this case yet? Yes, we have identified the suspect. It's a 28-year-old female white.
actually a Nashvilleian or lives in the Nashville area. We are having an ongoing investigation as it pertains to her at this time.
Located her place of where she lived. You have officers there. Have you?
We have.
Was she wearing body armor?
Was she wearing body armor? I can't say that far into the investigation. I don't remember seeing it, but I can't say for certain if she had body armor on or not.
Did she have any connection to the church?
From my initial findings is that at one point she was a student at that school, but unsure what year, all of that. But that's what I've been told so far.
Did she give any word on social media, or has her social media been examined at this point?
The investigations are still going at this point. Our federal partners, our state partners, we're all looking into that to see exactly. This is still fluid at the time, but we're looking at everything.
Did anybody pull the fire alarm? Do we know?
Don't remember a fire alarm.
Okay, so it is unfortunate, very sad incident, makes us scared. You know, my kids do the shooting drills. So they do these. I forgot what they have a different name for them to make it sound better, but it's like a seek and hide drill. I forgot what it's called, but they do the drills in his school. So yeah, they have to prepare for that. I'm going to transition to. I didn't talk about this topic. This will be the last one. Much better and a little bit happier topic. Not that we're not going to talk about difficult topics, but I don't know if there's much more that I see there unless all in the chat know. This is a really good topic. And I did see that Benny Johnson covered this. In fact, let me go talk to him. Let me not talk to him, but let me go find the Benny Johnson video to kick this topic off. I think he had a clip on his YouTube channel about homemakers. Homemaker. What a great little thing here happening with Bryson Gray. He's a culture maker in Tyson James, featuring Tyson James. There's a song. I'll leave you out with the song. But let's see what Benny Johnson's going to talk about here. Wait, what? What is going on? Okay. YouTube doesn't believe I'm real, I guess. I'm not going to type those characters in YouTube. What is going on? YouTube is funny. I'm not typing in those characters. I'm a bro. I think Babylon Bee had a funny. They said libs locked out of their accounts as CAPTCHA asks them to identify what is a woman. Squares, all the squares with a woman. Here's the Benny Johnson piece here.
Your girl a feminist, my girl traditional, my girl conservative, your girl a liberal, your girl got OnlyFans, my girl ain't sending news, your girl can't cook, my girl can do it in the kitchen too. Hey, this one for the homemakers. Hey, this one for the homemakers. Hey, dance if you a homemaker. Hey, this one for the homemakers. Hey, this gonna be your wifey favorite song. You providing that work, and she take care of the home, and she homeschooling, teaching your children what's right or wrong.
What's up, guys? It's your boy Benny. Trad wives are going bananas. BANANAS, whipping it up in the kitchen to the brand new banger, and it's a bop from Bryson Gray. The Trad wives are getting a new hip hop anthem, and women are loving it. Ladies and gentlemen, a new trend sweeping TikTok has feminists fuming, men everywhere applauding. The trad wife trend features young women living out the same roles as their grandmothers, great-grandmothers did a long time ago. Being a housewife, they cook, they clean, they raise children, they teach their children, they run the home, their husbands leave daily, be the breadwinners, and the dynamic is very familiar in humanity, one that modernity has done their absolute best to destroy. But it is, ladies and gentlemen, hard to fight human nature. And you have accounts like this on TikTok, which are like entire trad wife accounts.
So this is what it looks like. And I think it's good to celebrate this. Obviously, this is not the only type of household setup. What Bryson's doing is celebrating the type of traditional setup and making it okay, because it almost feels like it's not okay. It almost feels like you're almost disrespected or forgotten at the very best. I said amazing story. Bryson Gray does it again, teaming up with Tyson James on Homemakers. Their website is allccg.com. And these videos are really fun to watch. Family friendly, hip hop at its best.
Hey, this one for the homemakers. Hey, this one for the homemakers. Hey, dancing through a homemaker. Hey, this one for the homemakers. Hey, this gonna be your wifey favorite.
I like this one at the end where she's throwing up flour in slow motion. It's really well done.
This one for the homemakers. Hey, this gonna be your wifey favorite.
And there's just all people of different colors, backgrounds, whatever, vibing to it.
Hey, your girl a feminist, my girl traditional, my girl conservative, your girl a liberal, your girl got OnlyFans, my girl ain't sending news, your girl can't cook, my girl can do it in the kitchen too. Hey, this one for the homemakers. Hey, this one for the homemakers. Hey, dancing through a homemaker. Hey, this one for the homemakers. Hey, this gonna be your wifey favorite song. You providing that work, and she take care of the home. And she homeschooling, teaching your children what's right or wrong. Instead of letting the government turn them into clones. Hey, 2 parents working and who raising the children. Indoctrination programs is where you choosing to send them. And I know it's not on purpose, but let's look at it different. And please think about it first before you get in your feelings. Where they at? Where they at? Where they at? Where they at? They the culture changers. They the culture make. Hey, your girl a feminist, my girl traditional, my girl.
So you look at it, you've seen people with their, mothers with their children dancing.
This one for the homemakers. Hey, this one for the homemakers. Hey, dancing through a homemaker. Hey, this one for the homemakers. Hey, this gonna be your wifey favorite song. You providing that work, and she take care of the home. And she homeschooling, teaching your children what's right or wrong. Instead of letting the government turn them into clones. Hey, 2 parents working and who raising the children. Indoctrination programs is where you choosing to send them. And I know it's not on purpose, but let's look at it different. And please think about it first. This one for the homemakers. Hey, this one for the home.
I just think it's excellent. Somebody said it's so cringe. Are you talking about the dancing? That's part of it that makes it good, man. It's really hard to do a song like that without it being corny. Bryson can do it and deliver it and make it sound dope and get people involved. And I found out about Bryson from TikTok when when the pandemic started, which was, I forgot which one it was. It was the one about Trump, and they mentioned Obama. He's your president. Yeah, that was the first song. That one went viral. And I said, hip hop historians, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. Give me the closest comparison to a song. You would have to be in the social media age for it to go viral like this. Like UNITY was a good song, but it was kind of more like Queen Latifah with, back then it was more of a positive black movement, even though I still wasn't for it. It still had race in it. This has no race. No, it's basically no politics. I don't think, homeschooling, social issues, but no politics. Family friendly, brings people together. Visit their website, allccg.com, and I'm going to be out with this one. Listen to the whole one. Tyson James verse is dope too. Let's not forget about Tyson James. Shout out to him. I have to put in my, I'm a little bit upset with YouTube, or this is, I don't know who it is, Twitter or YouTube. I have to put in these letters, and it's hard to even see what these letters are, man. This better work the first time, or I'm going to be pissed off. It's not working. Man, these sites, these bots, man, get on my nerve. I can't even go on YouTube now. What is going on? Am I using a VPN? I don't think so. Now, if I use a VPN, I can understand that because it shows you're from a different, country or something like that. I'm not using any VPN, am I? Or let me double check. I don't know why it's asking me to put my. No, I don't have my VPN. Well, now I have it on. Okay, I'm out for real this time when I get this going. Appreciate you. Bryson Gray, Tyson James, homemakers, clean. Let's go. Take care.
My girl can do it in the kitchen too. Hey, this one for the homemakers. Hey, this one for the homemakers. Hey, dance if you a homemaker. Hey, this one for the homemakers. Hey, this gonna be your wifey favorite song. You providing that work, cause she take care of the home. And she homeschooling, teaching your children what's right or wrong. Instead of letting the government turn them into clones. Hey, 2 parents working and who raising the children. Indoctrination programs is where you choosing to send them. And I know it's not on purpose, but let's look at it different. And please think about it first before you get in your feelings. Where they at? Where they at? Where they at? Where they at? They the culture changers. They the culture makers. She the queen, she the teacher, she the chef and baker. When you do it God's way, then he gon' show you favor. Hey, Proverbs 31:30 type of woman. 1 Timothy 2:9 type of woman. She not the Jezebel, you see those that start running. God way of the highway, that's just how we coming. Hey, your girl a feminist, my girl traditional, my girl conservative, your girl a liberal, your girl got OnlyFans, my girl ain't sending news, your girl can't cook, my girl can do it in the kitchen too. Hey, this one for the homemakers. Hey, this one for the homemakers. Hey, dance if you a homemaker. Hey, this one for the homemakers.
My girl is chill, your girl is drama. My girl is sober, your girl on marijuana. My girl submit and you married to your mama. My girl is so content, bro, your girl a prima donna. I need that put me on the throne type of woman. That never withhold talking that grown type of woman. That taking care of business when I'm gone type of woman. That greet you at the door when I come home type of woman. Learn how to cook, that's the way to his heart. Don't bicker with the man, gotta pray and be smart. Let the man lead, always stay when it's hard. And he'll treat you like a queen, he'll light the way in the dark. Look, my girl is modest, your girl is... My girl the hottest, your girl a mutt. My girl the calmest, and your girl is a nut. I must be honest, bro, your girl kinda sucks.
Hey, your girl a feminist, my girl traditional, my girl conservative, your girl a liberal, your girl got OnlyFans, my girl ain't sending news, your girl can't cook, my girl can do it in the kitchen too. Hey, this one for the homemakers. Hey, this one for the homemakers. Hey, dance if you a homemaker. Hey, this one for the homemakers. 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 This one for the homemakers.